Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Benoit Weber, and today I'm going to talk about Matomo and how I use the tool to solve one of my clients' problem. I would like to thank the Matomo team for inviting me to talk today, and I hope you will enjoy the session. Unfortunately, I could not make it, which is why I pre-recorded that session. I hope you will enjoy it. Before we go into the story itself, I would just like to present myself. So I'm Ben, I'm French, as you can hear, but I'm living in northern Vietnam, lost in the mountains. I've been working remotely for about 9 years, and I'm currently head of analytics for Marketing with Trust. So Marketing with Trust is a performance marketing agency based in Australia. Most of our clients are in the APAC region. The team and I are responsible for analytics services in general. So we are doing some governance, some dashboarding, reporting, some implementation, some conversion rate optimization, data warehouse, user content. Now, if you have any question after that session, please feel free to contact me and I will be happy to give you more information. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed the session. This is the starting point of this story. You may have heard about it, Universalalytics sunset. One of the big challenges or issues that my clients that are using Google Analytics had were the fact that Universal Analytics historical data will be lost unless you do something about it. So just a bit of history of Google Analytics before we jump into what we did for this client. So Google Analytics make an announcement in 2022 announcing that they're going to sunset their previous version, which is called Universal Analytics. So anyone that had Universal Analytics historical data will be losing it from July 2024. Unless you do export it. Universal Analytics was created about 2012, and that particular client had set up Universal Analytics very early on, so they had a lot of historical data. Now, the reason why Universal Analytics was sunset, the main reason is because a lot changed in terms of how we need to collect the data and what the users are in control of. So Google Analytics team started building GA4 that has a different way of collecting data. And because Universal Analytics was actually not respecting user consent, they basically sunset the tool. Now, one of the first things that I want to cover is the actual challenge, what we wanted to do and why. So this is our client's challenge, right? They are a travel company. They have multiple brands offering different holidays experience for travelers. Every brands are operating across multiple regions, so APAC, Europe, America. They had a total of 52 websites running at that time. And what they want is not only to save that Universal Analytics data, but also to be able to compare it with pre-COVID performance. In travel industry has been massively impacted by COVID, as you may guess. So they don't want just to compare current performance with what happened last year or the previous one, but they want to compare how they are doing compared to pre-COVID. So we really had that need of saving the data. Now, how did we prepare for that sunset? So there were actually two different objectives, right? One was just saving the data. So one of the things we wanted to do is save the historical data and put it in their existing data warehouse. So they were functioning and working with Microsoft Azure. They already had the data warehouse and we wanted to put the data in. And then the second element is the accessibility of the data. It was very important for us not only to save the data, but making sure that the team, the marketing team, would be able to access the data, challenge, question, explore the data with some sort of visualization. So that's our starting point. When we started this project, we did a bit of exploration. What was the different solutions that were existing in the world, what Google was proposing, or what other solutions, API, tools, or analytics solution. So, well, the thing is, we look at Google's solution, right? This is the actual screenshot of Google Web when they said that they will not support the export of universal analytics data into GA4. They proposed different solutions. Some of them were just like basically manually exporting everything. Some of them would be using the API or add-ons, extensions. And the other solution was, because there is a native integration with BigQuery, but unless you were paying for the paid version of GA, you would not have access to it. So I was like, well, I don't want to do it. I'm an engineer. I don't want to do it manually. I don't want to work too much with the API. I'm just going to have a look at other existing solutions that might just solve my problem. So we read a lot. We did a lot of research, and basically we came down to those three main alternatives. One was Matomo, and this is that's what the clients picked at the end. The other one, Supermetric. So Supermetric has a lot of connectors that exist, and the idea would be we could just like extract the data using the existing solution. And then the other one would be using something like an extension in Google Sheet and export using the proper API. But doesn't change the fact that for solution 2 and 3, we would have to store the data. So in that visualization is BigQuery, but it could be any data really. But it was not solving the visualization aspect out of it. So we would be able to store the data, but we also have to build dashboards for it, where Matomo, with the feature that Matomo was presenting, not only we were extracting it, but then we would have access to dashboards already pre-built by the Matomo analytics solution. So we started going around looking at limitation, pros and cons for each of the solution. And like I was saying, it became very clear for us and the team that Matomo would be the easiest, fastest, and best solution to solve our two main problems. Matomo, the chosen one, this is the solution that we agreed with the clients to solve their problem. So what is Matomo? I assume that if you are attending MatomoCamp this year, you are familiar with the Matomo tool, but in case you are not, this is just an introduction to the tool, very top level. But Matomo was proposed as an alternative solution to Universal Analytics, which is the previous version of Google Analytics. And the idea behind Matomo was to propose an alternative to Google products. The main difference between the two is that Matomo gives you the capability of owning your own data. So you store your data in your own server. It's quite similar in the way it's built. The reports are also quite similar. So it's very easy for people to move from one solution to the other. Now, there are two different solutions that are proposed by Matomo. One is on-premise, which is the free, but you will have to use your own server to instance Matomo and also to store your data, or you can use the Matomo clouds, which is basically helping you deploying the whole solution quickly, but you will have like fees every month. Now, how it looked like. So like I was saying, a lot of the reports that have been built there are similar to what you could find in Universal Analytics. It helps you understand the performance of your website, the behavior and demographic of your visitors, identifying anything that leads to conversion. So if you're e-commerce, obviously purchases, but it can be any events that you define as a conversion. From those reports, you would be able to understand what's happening, what's not working, what's working, and just creating your different audiences. You can link to Google Ads, analytics tool with great capabilities. I'm just putting this quick video. In any case, someone here hasn't seen yet the interface. And this is coming from the documentation, from the official documentation. This is just to show you a bit of the interface and how it looked like. So you have all those pre-built reports. You can change the dates, obviously. You can export some of the data. You can select the different visualization you want. You can change how it's presented. So pretty user-friendly. So I'm thinking of my clients. It's easy for them to move from UA to Matomo than it is from UA to GA4. Let's go into the implementation journey. So there are two objectives we wanted to achieve with that client, right? One was saving the data, so making sure that we export all the data into Azure. And then the second point was to consolidate data. We wanted to provide a solution that enables the marketing team to explore and question the data and also visually merge the data from new data along with old data. Now, we had to build a team to be able to build that solution. So one was the project manager. So Vanessa was helping with the planification, the coordination, the monitoring and following up and making sure that everyone delivers on time what they're supposed to deliver. I was, as the head of analytics, acting as the sort of business analyst, designing the solution, validating. So I did some proof of concept, making sure that it would work, do a bit of the implementation and coordination with the other two specialists. So Francis was helping me with the design and the implementation of the Matomo tags. And Artem, as the GCP specialist, was helping me with the implementation and the setup in GCP. So the ecosystem, you have Google Analytics. So this is basically where the source of data was. A bit of context, we already had a setup that was done, what we call the dual tagging. So GA4 was already reflecting what we had in Universal Analytics. And we wanted to follow sort of the same structure and syntax when it comes to events. And we wanted to use GA4 as the foundation when it comes to setting up the Matomo tracking. Matomo, so this is the tool that actually going to help us doing the two objectives, having the dashboard so the team can play, but also using one of the feature, the automatic extraction of things. GCP is where we're going to deploy the Matomo instances. Tag Manager, the tool where all of the tags were implemented, all the events that we wanted. And then Microsoft Azure was a requirement from the clients. This is their data warehouse, and we needed to not only export all the data over there, but also start collecting data from Matomo and store it in Azure. How it works, basically what we would have is two streams. One that was bringing all the Universal Analytics historical data using the Analytics Importer. And then the other stream, which is the new data, where we would have, based on the interaction of the users, based on the events that would be pushed into the data layer, all the information that we can have. We have our tags in Tag Manager that will collect the data and send it to our website profile. Now, when it comes to setting up Matomo on-premise for our different regions, because our client is acting all over APAC, what we had to do is, create and set up the virtual machine in Google Cloud. We assign a static IP for those. We had the support from the clients to deploy the DNS. We had support with the clients also to set up the MySQL servers. So we were using MySQL Flexible Server. And then we deployed Matomo through a Cloud Engine. So that's the different steps and how we've done it. After we set it up Matomo, we had also set up what I call the triad tagging. So at one point in time, we had universal active tags, GA4 that were reflecting what we had in Universal Analytics, and ultimately Matomo reflecting what we had in GA4. Because we were in control of all those regions, all those websites, we have a consistency in tracking. So it made it easy for us to structure the data from UA to GA4 to Matomo in a pretty straightforward way. You can see the visualization there. You will have Tag Manager a few tags for GA4, few tags for Universal Analytics. Now it doesn't exist anymore, and then tags for Matomo. When we launched the solution, what happened is that we started, so you can see on the left, we started extracting historical data from UA. So every day as we were exporting more and more data. And on the other end, thanks to Tag Manager and Matomo tags, we would collect new data based on what was happening on the website. So you have basically 2 threads of data based on the day of setup. Now, we were using the Matomo plugin, which is called the Google Analytics Import plugin. Very powerful, but ultimately limited by the Google API. So you have up to 50,000 requests per day. And because we were dealing with a lot of websites, we were actually reaching that threshold every day. So the way we architecture Matomo was impacted by that threshold. Let's now jump into the overall architecture and how all of this is working. Because we had multiple regions, multiple websites, we ended up creating 9 Matomo deployed on 9 different virtual machines connected to 9 different MSQL. For each machine running in Google Cloud Platform, we had deployed it on Matomo instance. We had assigned a static IP. All of them had their own dedicated hostname, and all of them were linked to their own Azure data warehouse. What we have is 9 Matomo instances running on GCP, the data being stored in 9 different servers for a total of 52 websites. If you go into the detail of it, you will understand a bit more how we structure it. So we had different regions. For each region, we had different brands, sites. Some of them had a lot of data, more than smaller countries, for instance. The traffic we received in Vietnam was much smaller than traffic we will get in UK or in Canada or in Australia. So we really had to architect everything based on how much data we wanted to export, but also how much data we would process, and also the region in which websites was operating. In the context of this project, we primarily used Matomo to resolve our 2 objectives, which were storing the data, but also giving the opportunity for the team to compare current performance with previous performance, especially pre-COVID. But because we had now a second analytics tool running in parallel with GA4, we pushed the team and we tried to get them to use more and more features from Matomo. So some of them, just mentioning them here, you can have a lot of information directly in the documentation of Matomo. It's pretty complete, but it includes A/B testing tool. You have also a heat map, session recordings. And one of the things that I really like about that is that you can link what you are seeing in the different reports to existing heat maps or session recordings. We're just going to move towards conclusion. We had 2 objectives. One was saving the data. The other one was consolidating the data. To save the data, there were multiple solutions, some of them including the API, some of them are using existing tools like Supermetrics. But it became very obvious for us to use Matomo due to the simplicity of the Google Analytics importer, which helped people basically migrating from UA to Matomo without too much of a problem, because we could store the data in the client's data warehouse. And then the consolidation of the data, as soon as we published everything and we started the export of data, we started collecting, importing old data, and we started also collecting new data. And because we had a consistency of our measurement plan, so events that we used to have in UA were named the same way in GA4 and were named the same way in Matomo, we could have this consistency. And then now the tool is used as the second analytics tool for the team. This is the overall architecture of the solutions we built. So we had to split across multiple instances for each Matomo instances, which correspond to a group of websites in a particular region. We had a dedicated MySQL servers, and we had in total 52 websites collecting data in Matomo. Now, I refer to that during the whole session today, but the trainings and the available documentation is very complete. There is about 2 hours of training of videos, the marketplace where you can find all these additional features. So I really recommend anyone starting using Matomo to take the time to learn by yourself and making the best out of the tool. So this is me. Thanks for listening to me. And thanks again to the MatomoCamp team for inviting me and letting me doing that webinar. If you have any question on the project or on Matomo, please feel free to contact me directly, so you can see here my email. And also you can add me on LinkedIn if you need. And thanks again, and have a good day. Hello everyone, thanks for joining today. My name is Benoit Weber, and today I'm going to talk about Matomo and how I use the tool to solve one of my clients' problem. I would like to thank the Matomo team for inviting me to talk today, and I hope you will enjoy the session. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, which is why I pre-recorded that session. I hope you will enjoy it.